All right, what's up, everybody? It's GleeCon back for another episode of Lore of Warcraft as we continue the Pandaria kind of lore. This one's called The Two Empires. We left off with Lei Shen becoming the Thunder King, whooping on Ra, taking his power, and starting to subjugate the other races, the Hozen, the Jinyu, and the Pandaren. So let's read about this. As Lei Shen's empire expanded in scope and power, he soon regarded all living creatures within his domain as his servants. The curse of flesh was a weakness, he reasoned, and although not all of the mogu might ever be fully cleansed of the flaw, other beings of flesh would always be beneath them. The Thunder King began a campaign of enslavement in the lands surrounding the Vale. The wise Jinyu had established a small empire of their own. Though they fought valiantly, the Jinyu ultimately crumbled before the might of Lei Shen. The mogu sacked their towns and left their entire civilization in ruins. Upon learning of the Jinyu's fate, the Pandaren fled to Kunlai Summit, north of the Vale. There they sought the protection of Xuen, the White Tiger. When Lei Shen brought his armies to the foothills, he challenged Xuen to a duel that would decide the fate of the Pandaren. Xuen accepted, and for many days the great battle between the White Tiger and the Thunder King shook the skies over Kunlai. In the end, Xuen could not match Lei Shen's stolen Titan power. Lei Shen chained Xuen near the peak of the mount, forcing the August Celestial to watch as the mogu bound the Pandaren to slavery. Fearing that the Pandaran's peaceful philosophies would undermine his rule, Lei Shen forbade them from learning how to read or write, or even how to speak any language other than the mogu tongue. To disobey was to be killed in slow, brutal fashion. The mogu forged their greatest palaces and monuments with the blood and sweat of their subjugated races. Soon the empire boasted a unified language, an established system of weights and measurements, and the first set of written laws in Azeroth, brutal codes that enshrined the mogu's place above the other creatures. Lei Shen also forced his slaves to act as soldiers, or to expand the crude fortifications once used to defend the Vale from the Mantid. Thus was born the Serpent's Spine, a massive stone wall separating the mogu from the insectoid lands. When existing slaves perished or proved insufficient, Lei Shen shaped new ones with the power of the Engine of Nalaksha. This led to the creation of myriad beings, such as the diminutive yet resilient Grummels and the barbaric reptilian Sorok. The Mogu Empire quickly drew notice from other civilizations on Azeroth. The Zandalari trolls in particular were amazed at the otherworldly powers wielded by the Thunder King. One of the Zandalari's leaders, a revered high priest named Zulathra, saw in the Mogu a golden opportunity. He and a retinue of trolls journeyed to the Thunder King's domain with a simple proposition. The mogu might hold the power of this world, but the trolls held the knowledge of the land. The two empires would make each other great and teach each other their secrets. Once they were allied, nothing on Azeroth would dare oppose them. The offer intrigued Lei Shen. For the first time he had met other living creatures who sought to master their environment rather than live in peace with it. The mogu rarely ventured far from their lands. Superstitions and the deep-seated duty of protecting the Vale still influenced their actions. They could explore the world from a position of ignorance, or they could ally with the trolls and learn its mysteries quickly. In truth, both leaders plotted betrayal. Zulathra believed the Zandalari could steal Lei Shen's godlike powers once they learned the mogu's secrets, and the Thunder King schemed to enslave the Zandalari the moment they ceased being useful. Yet they kept their plans concealed even from their own people and publicly brokered an agreement. In exchange for the Zandalari's knowledge, the mogu would train them in the ways of arcane magic. They also promised the Zandalari a swath of fertile land near the Vale. Lei Shen even made a secret agreement with Zulathra. The Thunder King had devised a method to fully revive his spirit if he was ever killed, but he did not trust his own servants with such knowledge. The mogu were a power-hungry people, and they would likely try to claim the empire for themselves if Lei Shen fell. Only the Zandalari would hold the key to resurrecting Lei Shen. Without him, the trolls knew they would never fully learn the secrets of the arcane, nor would they be able to claim his awesome power. Though both leaders continued scheming, their betrayals would never come to fruition. Indeed, they found each other to be invaluable allies, and their pact endured for many years. The Hozen Betrayal. At the height of their empire, the Jinyu held close ties with the Hozen. Both agreed to help the other withstand the onslaught of the mogu, yet on the eve of the Jinyu's final stand against Lei Shen, the Hozen betrayed them. The Jinyu's so-called allies had secretly pledged their loyalties to the Thunder King in exchange for preferential treatment, a promise that was never kept. This act of treachery ensured the Jinyu's defeat and ignited a bitter racial feud between them and the Hozen that would last for generations. Fate of the August Celestials. After Lei Shen imprisoned the White Tiger, the other Celestials came to the aid of the Pandaren. Yet, like Xuen, they all succumbed to the Thunder King. Thereafter, Lei Shen prohibited worship of the Celestials on pain of death. The Pandaren lost many of their ties to the wild gods, but not all. A few fearless slaves in secret carried on the teachings of the Celestials. And here is a picture of that battle between Lei Shen, the Thunder King, and Xuen, the White Tiger. Wild. And it looks like we've got a lot of Pandaren down there too, and a lot of mogu. Pretty cool. And you would think that the Thunder King, armed with the power of High Keeper Ra, would be able to defeat a single of these wild spirits, these wild gods, August Celestials. And this is pretty cool. A lot of backstory, which, despite having played through all of the quests in Pandaria, I either don't remember or didn't know a lot of the true background on how the Pandaren were further subjugated and brought into a period of slavery, how the Jinyu and Hozen were essentially made minor races and most of them were killed, how the Sorok and the Grummels were created by the Mogu, all neat things, and how the August Celestials were kind of weakened and imprisoned, and probably explains why they're in their 4 different remote regions of Pandaria. You also have the building of the spine of the Serpent's Spine, which is the parallel to the Great Wall of China. And ultimately you have why there are trolls in Pandaria and why they're allied with the Mogu. If you go ahead and do, like, get the Stormbreaker title and all that stuff, you'll notice there's a lot of trolls in that area, trolls going on. So that explains that. It also explains them moving into Kunlai Summit. So just a lot, fleshing out the lore and setting the stage for what will eventually come, which is the rise again of the Pandaren. All right, guys. A delight as always. Thank you for listening to me ramble. Thank you for I hope your time, and I hope this was enlightening. See you on the next one. Adios.